Most cars on the road today are built well enough to easily reach 200,000 miles or more. So why don't they? Why do so many engines seize up, transmissions die, or suspensions fall apart before 100,000? The truth is simple. Dealerships and manufacturers design service schedules that get cars through warranty, not through decades. And drivers, trusting those recommendations, are left with bills in the thousands once the warranty ends. I've worked in the industry long enough to see both sides of it. On one hand, the service interval myth. On the other, cars have personally maintained that crossed 300,000 miles and kept running strong. It doesn't take luck, it takes habits. So today, I'll share 17 brutally honest tricks that extend a car's life by years. They're not glamorous, they don't cost much, but they work, and if you stick around, the very last one is so simple it almost sounds silly. Yet I've seen it save transmissions worth nearly $3,000. Let's dive in. Trick 17. Change oil earlier than they tell you. If you still believe the 10,000-mile or 15,000-mile oil change myth, your engine is already on borrowed time. Oil is the bloodstream of your engine, and real-world driving chews it up faster than marketing brochures admit. I've opened engines at 100,000 miles that follow dealer schedules to the letter. Inside, sludge so thick it looked like tar, camshafts scarred, pistons caked, oil passages blocked like cholesterol in an artery. If you want to avoid that fate, with conventional oil, change it every 3,000 miles. With full synthetic, every 5,000 to 7,000. Yes, that's more often than the book says. But fresh oil is cheap. A rebuild is not. And remember, cheap oil changed often beats fancy oil changed late. Trick 16. Warm up the right way. Idling your car for 10 minutes on a cold morning feels protective. But in reality, it's a slow death. Here's what's happening. After about 30 seconds, raw fuel begins washing down the cylinder walls, thinning the oil film that protects your engine. That diluted oil doesn't lubricate, it scars. I've drained oil so contaminated with fuel it looked like black water. The smarter move is this. Start your car, wait 20 to 30 seconds for oil pressure to stabilize. Drive gently for the first couple of miles. That warms the engine faster and safer. Oil temperature climbs far quicker under light driving than under long idle. The bottom line, protection happens on the road, not in your driveway. Trick 15. Stop after the pump clicks. You know that last little squeeze at the gas station? The one where you try to round up to the nearest dollar. That one habit has killed more emission systems than I can count. When you overfill the tank, excess gas doesn't magically give you more range. It floods the vapor lines and the charcoal canister designed only for fumes, not liquid. Once that canister is soaked, it clogs valves, wrecks sensors, and sets off a cascade of check engine lights. I've replaced dozens of them. Each job runs anywhere from $350 to $900. So when the pump clicks, stop, put the nozzle back, walk away. Trick 14. Respect your transmission fluid. Your transmission is a sealed unit. Most drivers forget about it until it slips or jerks, and by then, it's too late. That's not a service, that's a replacement. Here's the hidden danger. Transmission fluid often looks fine even when it's worn out. Still red, no smell. But at 60,000 miles, it's loaded with clutch dust and micro shavings. It's basically liquid sandpaper. That's why you should drain and fill every 60,000 miles, or every 6 years. For hybrids, you can stretch it to 90,000. Always use the exact fluid your manufacturer specifies. One warning. If you've neglected the fluid for over 120,000 miles, never do a high-pressure flush. It can wash away the sludge that's barely holding it together. In that case, gentle drain and fill only. A $120 fluid change beats a $4,000 rebuild. Every time. Trick 13. Brake with foresight. Some drivers treat every stoplight like a finish line. They blast toward it, slam the brakes, and wonder why their pads and rotors only last 20,000 miles. Every panic stop heats the rotors to over 1,000 degrees. Do that often enough and they warp. Pads glaze. Brake fluid boils. Want to double or triple brake life? Coast early. Ease into stops. Downshift on long grades instead of riding the pedal. And when it's time to replace, buy quality. Cheap pads squeal, wear fast, and chew up rotors. OEM or trusted aftermarket brands like Akebono or Brembo last far longer. Trick 12. Don't gamble with coolant. Modern engines have aluminum heads. Aluminum is light, efficient, and fragile. Overheat it once and it can warp beyond repair. I saw this firsthand. A Tacoma driver ignored his temperature gauge for 8 minutes. The result? Blown head gasket. The repair bill was nearly $4,000. Prevention is simple. Flush coolant every 3 to 5 years. Check levels monthly. Never mix coolant colors or types. It sounds picky, but the wrong coolant creates chemical reactions that corrode gaskets and radiators. Think of coolant like medicine. The wrong prescription does more harm than good. Trick 11. Treat coolant leaks as emergencies. Topping off coolant every week is not maintenance. It's a warning siren. Coolant doesn't evaporate. If it's low, there's a leak, period. Leaks can be obvious, like a cracked radiator or dripping hose. Or they can be sneaky, like a heater core leaking into the cabin or a tiny head gasket leak steaming out the exhaust. The right way to find out? Pressure test the system cold. Pump it up to spec. Watch for a drop. That's how you find silent killers before they kill the engine. Trick 10. Stop using your SUV as a storage locker. I get it. SUVs feel big. People treat them like rolling closets or work trucks. But every extra 100 pounds you haul adds 1,000 pounds of force during a hard stop. I had a customer load his crossover with 800 pounds of tools for a weekend gig. By the end of the summer, rear shocks blown, tires scalloped, alignment toast. The repair bill topped $1,400, not counting the new tires he still needed. Payload capacity is listed on your door jamb. Add up passengers and cargo, and you'll see how easy it is to max out. Lighten the load. Your suspension, brakes, and wallet will thank you. Trick 9. Listen to the car. That squeak, tick, or clunk is not just character. It's a warning. A squealing belt is a $40 fix today, or a $1,200 alternator failure later. A faint ticking can be low oil starving the lifters. Ignore it, and you're looking at a full teardown. Here's the habit. When you hear something odd, don't turn up the radio. Pay attention. When does it happen? Cold? Hot? On bumps? At certain speeds? That info saves mechanics time and you money. Trick 8. Don't ride the clutch. Manual drivers, this one's for you. Resting your foot on the clutch pedal keeps it partially engaged. Even light pressure cooks the friction disc and wears the flywheel. I've seen clutches roasted in 40,000 miles simply because drivers coasted with the pedal half down. That's a $1,500 mistake. At stoplights, shift into neutral. On hills, use the handbrake instead of feathering the clutch. Done right, a clutch can last 150,000 miles. Done wrong, it's gone in half that. Trick 7. Keep a quarter tank minimum. Gasoline isn't just fuel, it's also coolant and lubricant for your fuel pump. Run the tank low, and the pump sucks in hot air instead of liquid. That overheats it, and dries out seals. I've replaced pumps under 80,000 miles for this exact reason. Each one cost the owner around $600. Low tanks also stir up sediment sitting at the bottom. That debris clogs filters, gums injectors, and can even score cylinders. So make it a rule. Don't drop below a quarter tank. It's not about convenience, it's about survival. Trick 6. Invest in quality spark plugs. Spark plugs look small and cheap, but neglect them and you'll pay dearly. Misfires from worn plugs burn coils, damage catalytic converters, and in worst cases, melt pistons. A customer once trusted 100,000-mile iridiums in his Nissan. At 130,000 miles, the electrodes were stumps. The misfires killed compression. That engine never recovered. Check plugs around 60,000 miles, especially on direct injection engines. Replace with quality, Enkei, Denso, Bosch, or OEM. Avoid no-name knockoffs from quick lube shops. A $60 set of plugs can save a $6,000 engine. Trick 5. Test your engine mounts. Mounts fail slowly. A small thump, a faint shake. By the time the dash rattles like a jackhammer, damage has spread to axles and brackets. Do the death test. Foot on brake. Shift into drive. Rev to about 2,000 RPM. If the engine leaps more than an inch, your mounts are done. Replace them before they take down more expensive parts. Trick 4. Wash the undercarriage. You can wax your paint all day, but if you never clean underneath, rust will eat your car alive. I've put trucks on lifts that looked spotless from above but had frames crumbling underneath like stale bread. Brake lines snap, fuel tanks leak, control arms disintegrate, and it all starts with salt and grime that never gets rinsed off. Every winter month, spray down the undercarriage with a hose or go through a wash that offers it. Weekly if you live where salt is heavy. It's not about looks, it's about keeping the car safe to drive. Trick 3. Question every urgent repair. Walk into a dealership for an oil change, and you may walk out with a $1,200 estimate. Fuel system cleaning, throttle body flush, brake fluid exchange. I've sat in meetings where service writers were literally trained to upsell every customer. Here's the truth. Most of those urgent repairs aren't urgent. A new Corolla doesn't need a throttle body cleaning. Spark plugs don't need regapping at 30,000 miles if they're iridium. Protect yourself. Ask for proof. Ask to see the old fluid. Ask for photos. And if it sounds fishy, get a second opinion from an independent shop. Trick 2. Keep battery terminals clean. Corroded terminals strangle your car's electrical system. Starters draw more power, alternators strain, sensors misbehave, all because of a little white fuzz. I've seen cars towed in for no start that fired up instantly once the corrosion was brushed off. One customer almost spent $900 on a starter she didn't need. Check every few months. If you see buildup, scrub with a baking soda and water mix. Coat with dielectric grease. 10 minutes of work can prevent thousands in misdiagnosed repairs. Trick 1. Always set the parking brake. Here's the one nobody talks about, but it might be the single biggest lifesaver for your transmission. When you put an automatic in park, a small metal pawl locks the gears. On flat ground, that's fine, but on a hill, that tiny piece of steel is holding up thousands of pounds of car. Do it often enough, and the pawl snaps. I've replaced dozens. Each job ran around $2,800. The fix is free. Always set the parking brake first, then shift to park. Uphill, downhill, even flat ground. Get in the habit and you'll never have to worry about a shattered pawl again. Cars don't die early because they're poorly built. They die because they're neglected, abused, or maintained. Only to warranty standards. If you want 300,000 miles out of your vehicle, these 17 habits are your roadmap. None of them are complicated. Most cost less than a tank of gas. But together, they add up to years of extra life and thousands saved in repairs. And remember, extending life is one thing. Avoiding scams is another. In the next breakdown, I'll expose the most common mechanic scams drivers fall for, and how to spot them before you hand over your keys. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and take care of your car the way the dealer never wanted you to. That's it for today's video. If you found these tips helpful and want to keep your car running longer and stronger, make sure you hit that like button. Drop a comment below to let me know which trick surprised you the most, or share your own maintenance secrets. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. We've got a lot more insider advice coming your way.